Hey guys, it's Beta Aquariums, and today I'm just coming at you with Q&A. I've been thinking about doing more of these for a while, so I asked you if you wanted it, and you said yeah. So I've got 14 questions, what you guys have asked. There was a lot more than that, but I sort of just summed it up because some questions are very similar. So let's get started. 14 questions. What made you start fish keeping? I've never really looked into fish keeping. When I was a kid, I used to always have goldfish. But with my tropical fish, it was mostly through watching YouTubers. I used to be really into fishing, and I used to watch a fishing YouTuber. I can't remember his name now. I didn't watch him for long, but he had a fish, and then I started watching people like Lunkers TV, and he has his pet bass Gary, which he caught himself. So I thought that fish tank was dead cool, so I started looking into that. Found more YouTubers like King of DIY, people like that, and they're sort of the people who inspired me, I guess, to... my water's really cloudy today. But yeah, they're the people who inspired me to start fish keeping. What is a cool fish fact? A betta fish, its stomach is the same size as its eye. I don't know if that's cool or not, but that's something I'm going to be interested in the future video when I do a species type of sort of video, just telling you all about betta keeping. Oh wait, hold on. How long have you had betta fish for? I've had betta fish now. Bubbles was my first ever tropical fish, so I've had him for about before my birthday. Not long, about 3 months now. Bubbles is only about 3.5 months old, still very young, so yeah. What are my future plans for my channel? One day I want to have a lot more fish tanks than 2. I want to have pretty much just all the fish I want. It's lots of fish I want. I want more betta tanks. I want an Oscar. I want an Asian arowana. I want stingrays. Lake Malawi cichlids. I don't ever know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, I want a lot. So basically just get more tanks. Maybe have a room just dedicated to it, like a little gallery. What's my favourite fish and why? In my fish tank, I don't know, it's either between Bubbles, just because he's quite personable for a small fish, also his colours are amazing. Also, he's my first tropical fish, so I've had him for the longest. Or Otto, who's just down there in the cave. It's hard to see, but yeah, he's just down there in the cage because Otto is also very personable. He swims around the tank a lot. At night, especially, he's a lot more active, and I sort of just enjoy seeing that because I also like sort of trying to find him because every now and then he'll hide. And I think just sort of trying to find him because everybody counts their fish. If you have a small fish tank like this, you always count every fish. So I know I have 3 neon tetras, 1 betta and 1 otokinklus. And I always count them, and sometimes just trying to find him is fun. In general, I think it would be an Oscar or a Asian arowana. Asian arowanas just really cool. I find them so cool. There's the size and power behind them, and also their look. I like I think it's like black gold panda or something. They look amazing. And for the Oscar, the reason why is I just like the fact that they're kind of mischievous, and also I like the coloration of the tiger Oscars. I think that's very cool. When will we see more fish feeding videos? I didn't actually know that this was a video that you'd liked to watch. It's something I definitely enjoy doing though. So yeah, if you want to see more fish feeding videos, then I'll make some more. What's a good size fish tank to start up with? when picking a fish tank, you've got to think, and with stocking the tank, you've got to think what you're willing to look after. So obviously, if you get a 2,000 gallon tank, you might not want to clean that as a first tank. For me, this one was ideal, just to start off with a betta fish. So yeah, this one was ideal for me. Small, so I could learn. But yeah, so this one was small, so it was ideal for me. Some people might want to get bigger. You've also got to think about your budget, because obviously you've got to feed it. You've got to, if you had a 100 litre tank, you could get a Fluval 106, and then but there if you got a 150, then you'll need a Fluval 206, which is about £30 more expensive. So you've got to think what your budget is, what you're willing to maintain, and what you're willing to stock in it. Because personally, I wouldn't have got, if I knew I was going to get a betta, I probably would have got a tank a bit smaller than this. I know that fish enjoy their space, but this is a very large tank for a betta, so I might have got him in a smaller one, because they can go in smaller. I know that they enjoy swimming around much, but I'd rather have just a betta tank and nothing else. My screen's gone off, hold on. What different types of betta are there? There's so many different types of bettas. There's female bettas and there's male bettas, obviously. The female bettas is only a few, but the male bettas is where there's a lot of variety. There's crown tails, there's half moons, full moons I think are one. There's so many different types of bettas. How long did they live for? I think betta fish live up to 2 years, I think. But yeah, it's a decent time for a fish, especially a small one, like bubbles. But 2 years is plenty of time to enjoy your fish, I think. It's a shame that they don't live that long, because as I said, he's one of my favourite. But yeah, so only 2 years. What's my favourite type of betta? Probably a crown tail. Crown tails are really cool. I'm not sure why. I think it's because it was one of the first bettas I ever seen, or just the fact that it's a little bit. All of them are a little bit different, but I feel like the crown tails stand out a lot more. Yeah, I don't know, there's just something about them. It's not really one of those things you can explain, is it? There's just something about them that I like. It's definitely the finage. What about the finage, I'm not sure. It's just very different to all the other fish. My water's very murky as well, by the way, guys. I think my filter may not be working, which I'm going to have to sort after this video. If I was going to get my favourite fish, how big would the tank be? If I was going to get an Oscar, if I was going to get another betta fish, I'd probably get one around the same size as the 12 litre, which is just, what is a mess, so, yeah, I'd probably get one that's around 12 litres, just because I feel like that's enough space for just one betta, and then I wouldn't really have to put anything else in, and he would be happy with that amount of space. If I was going to get an Oscar, I'd like to get a pair, so 500 litres, 600, somewhere around that. I'm not too sure on the size of, because people have told me different things. When I read online and in books, it says 250 litres, then 300 litres for a pair. But then when I spoke to people online, they said that it needs to be 500 litres, so I'm not sure about Oscars. And if it was to get an Asian arowana, probably about 5,000 litres, which is a lot to look after, to be honest. But I saw one in a 2,000 litre tank, and it just looked a bit small for him. So yeah, probably about 5,000 litres for an Asian arowana. How can I get started in fish keeping? Well, if I was to suggest anything, I'd suggest get a cold water tank first. They can learn about different substrates and the filtration. Then once you get like master cold water, tropical isn't that much harder. Apart from there's a lot more fish and you have to add a heater, so you have to work with temperature. But the temperature really isn't that hard if you just get a heater like mine. You can set a temperature to it, and then you can set a temperature to it, and then it sort of just runs itself. I don't really ever have to mess with the temperature since I've had that heater. So I've had this tank for about 3 months now. No, not 3 months, about 5 months. Since I've had that heater, I installed it, then I had to like mess with it once, just because it was always a little bit above the green bar, as it always is. So yeah, but the tank's always at a constant temperature. So and also they switch off if they're not needed, which is good for energy, because I always keep saying, well, one of my friends always asks, when you get more fish tanks, how are you going to pay for all the electric and everything. Heaters like that will help a lot. Final question, if we can get it up. Hold on. Oh no. Yeah, so you just get if you're starting up, I'd suggest something small. You don't want to go big. You don't want to get a big expensive fish. Maybe a goldfish, or if you were going to get your first fish, maybe a beta. That's what I did, and then you can just learn. You don't want to get a big tank with big expensive fish like an Oscar or an Asian arowana, because then if you die, that's a lot of money gone. And also you might lose interest in it after a while. So if you have a large tank, then you're kind of stuck with it, because big fish and big tanks are hard to move. And then the final question, how hard is fish keeping? There's a lot of aspects of fish keeping. It mostly how hard it is mostly depends on what type of tank you have. It is relatively easy if you know what you're doing. I have a big pile of books. I have about 6 books just full of fish. Everything from cold water, pond water, tropical, marine, all that. From my experience, with all the research I did, and I also got help from other people, I found this. The first month's difficult. Everybody always says you'll lose more fish in your first month than you ever will in your whole career, like with fish keeping. And I think that's true. My tank used to have 3 more neon tetras, and 1 more otokinklos. So in the first month, my amount of neon tetras and otokinklos halved. So that's the first month is hard because you're still learning. Your cycle might not be. There we go. Your cycle might not be set up properly. Anything could go wrong in the first month, as well as you're still learning. But after the first month, it's relatively easy. Feed them, clean them. My fish tank isn't the cleanest at the moment, but it's easily sorted, especially on these small tanks. I've noticed just weird stuff like the air stones snapped, and there's just a little bit of is it carpet? I don't know. There's a little bit of that just in there. Don't know how it got there. But after the first month is relatively easy. If you were to get a marine tank, there's a lot more to consider than if you were to get a cold water or, well, just any fresh water. Once you get on salt water and marine tanks, it's a little bit harder because you just have that little extra thing to worry about. Also, if you were to get corals in a tank, then that also adds a bit of difficulty. Yeah, basically the more you have, the more difficult it is. I just realised I'm ranting on. I wasn't thinking, to be honest, I was just talking. So yeah, the more you have in general, the harder it is. So I would suggest just progressing forward little bit by little bit. So slowly getting, what's Otto doing? staring the bubbles. Anyway, so yeah, I suggest getting something small, maybe a small 12 litre cold water, getting a goldfish, learn about the filtration, substrates and everything. Then moving on to tropical, getting some live plants in, getting the heater in, and then getting just these tanks bigger and bigger. You don't want to go massive if you have a small tank. Even though smaller tanks, it is harder to sort of maintain the water quality. Small tanks are harder, but you want it to be hard so that nothing catches you by surprise in the future. So having a smaller tank at the start is probably better. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough now. I hope you know me a little bit better, know a bit about my fish, or just whatever you wanted to know. If you want me to do another one, then like and ask me some more questions. I'll write them down and I'll answer them in another video. Sorry it was a bit late. I wanted to get as many questions in as possible. Obviously it took me 3 days to get 14 questions. So yeah, thanks for watching and asking anybody who asked questions, and I'll see you in the next video.